have great taste, especially with your radio choice. Thank you for spending a little time with Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
Shreveport Bossier's number one for new country. Kiss Country 93.7, Gary and Bristol. Did you hear me? It's 56. 56! Just loving this weather. And I think about this time next week, the highs are only going to be like in the mid to upper 70s. 70s. How about that? Okay, latest for you on Hurricane Milton. They say it's continuing to move towards the west coast of Florida. Some residents insisted they were going to stay after millions were ordered to evacuate. Officials warned that stragglers would face grim odds of surviving. In fact, the Tampa Bay area, home to more than 3.3 million people, is facing the possibility of widespread destruction. They say that, according to the National Hurricane Center, Milton is a monstrous Category 5 hurricane during much of its approach. Likely would weaken, but will remain a major hurricane when it makes landfall late this evening. Milton centered earlier this morning about 360 miles southwest of Tampa. Maximum sustained winds of 160 miles an hour. Forecasters predicting the storm will retain hurricane strength as it crosses central Florida tomorrow on its path towards the Atlantic Ocean. Thousands of fleeing cars clogging Florida's highways. Have you seen the videos of that? Just insane. They say, though, time for evacuations is running out. In fact, the Tampa mayor, Jane Castor, says that up to a 15-foot storm surge, which is possibly forecast for the city, would be deep enough to swallow an entire house. He says, look, we're not going to ask our first responders to risk their lives to go in and save someone who refused to evacuate when we've told you need to leave. So that's an issue that they're dealing with right now. Of course, we'll keep you posted with all of this here on Kiss Country 93.7, the website, mykisscountry937.com. Of course, the Kiss Country app and our Facebook page. Somebody like you, Keith Urban, Kiss Country 93.7. It's Gary in Bristol. Don't forget now, 7:15, we are giving away more passes to Piney Park. Big fall festival that's going on now. Of course, this Saturday, big day for youth and veterans here in Area 2 of Northwest Louisiana. It's Youth Veteran Deer Week. Deer season for the kids starts early. They get to hunt all week long from this Saturday all the way through next Friday. And then next Saturday, the 19th, that's when primitive weapons season will start for deer. And if you've never gotten to do this before, you've never had a child that was old enough to hunt, or maybe you just qualified with your veteran status. All the rules, because there's several little things you got to know before you go. Take a look. We've got all that for you in the Kiss Country app. But make sure you're safe and have fun this weekend.
My number one station.
Number one, Gary and Bristol. Another reason we're number one. Kiss Country 93.7.
Kiss Country 93.7 is Gary and Bristol. Ticket trivia coming up here at 7:15. We're giving away more passes for the Piney Park Fall Festival that's going on now in Marshall. And tomorrow, they've been doing this for, a couple of years now. And it's just a huge success. Shreveport Green teaming up with the Arbor Day Foundation and IP. They're giving away 500 fruit trees tomorrow. It'll be between 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. there in the old Sears parking lot at Mall St. Vincent. And they say it is a first-come, first-served basis. But they've got a number of different varieties of fruit trees, all in 5-gallon containers. There's apple trees, pear trees, plum trees, even a pomegranate tree. Got 140 of those to give away. I've never seen a pomegranate tree. They say all you got to do is when you get there, park your car and go to the tree distribution area. That's where Shreveport Green Rep is going to help you choose the tree, and then they'll give you some planting information. Only one tree. That's all you can get at this event. So you better get there early, 9 to 11:30 tomorrow at the old Sears parking lot, Mall St. Vincent.
They've tested positive, but not in a good way.
Careful. These two have proven to be highly contagious. It's Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
Kiss Country 93.7 is Gary and Bristol. Jordan Davis, next thing you know, some kid's got something stuck up his nose. Well, that was ticket trivia yesterday.
It was.
We had kids with all kinds of stuff stuck up their nose.
Good morning. It's Gary in Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7. How are you?
Is your child gold mining, double knuckling in his nose?
That should have been the answer. I'm sorry. It was what? French fries was the answer?
French fries. Second most common thing.
Number one thing they stick up their nose?
No, crayons was number one.
Crayons. Number two is French fries.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of knowledge you need to know if you're going to win this 4-pack of passes to go to Piney Park's Fall Festival.
Okay, we do have that 4-pack. And today, we've made this a regular for Wednesdays. First time winners only. We love our regular people.
We do.
But on occasion, because, seems like first time people are not as quick with the fingers or whatever the case might be. They don't
have it all down to a science. You Google while I call.
Yeah, or whatever the case might be. So if you've ever won ticket trivia before, you can't play this morning.
Okay.
But if you've never won, here's your question. Nearly a third of all people say they would love to visit this distant place. Where? Nearly a third of all people say they would love to visit this distant place. Where? 725-5477. You got to be a newbie. You're a rookie. 725 Kiss Country 93.7 is Gary in Bristol. Big week for Tabitha from Marshall. She just won ticket trivia a minute ago, got the Piney Park passes. What is it, like tomorrow's her husband's birthday?
Yeah.
And then over the weekend, it's her son's 5th birthday, something like
figure.
that? Yeah. We know where y'all are going for your birthday.
I know, right?
Piney Park, baby. And we will do that again tomorrow. Of course, your first Kiss Cash Cow code of the day. That's coming up here at 8:20 this morning. So if you haven't downloaded your Kiss Country app, you want to get that done, get ready for it. And today is Shreveport Police Appreciation Day. Shreveport Mayor declared that, they're doing the burgers for the badges today. And what are they expecting? Like 400 officers, deputies, marshals they're going to be feeding today?
And by the way, you can still buy lunch for a law enforcement officer. Just go to cscrimestoppers.org. And did you see the message from Michelle on the Kiss Country app?
Yeah, though her husband is not actually a police officer, he works for an ambulance service, but she did give us some cool stuff. She said she's driving. She'd like for her husband, Jeremy, to be mentioned. She says, we're both first responders. I'm home wrangling the kids. He's in the direct path of Fort Myers landfall of Hurricane Milton. Volunteered to go. She says people don't see the backside, the worry, the installing geo-tracking software to find him. If his cell goes dead, the reminder to put his cell in his wallet in a Ziploc bag in case of the surge. Up to 590 ambulances, multiple four-wheelers, 200 buses, all there. And so, for you, Jeremy, and anybody else that volunteers, whether it be, those power company personnel, things of that nature, thank you for doing that. Today, though, it's kind of exclusive to the police, because it is Police Appreciation Day in Shreveport. And those are the people that we would like to recognize today. And I know that, not everybody has a story, but those who do have a story about a police officer that really did something amazing for them. I shared mine a little bit earlier. An officer who's retired now. When he was brand new on the force, Kevin Goodwin. We became great friends only because he's just a nice guy to begin with. We even used to work out together. But Kevin was new on the force, and he patrolled this area at night. And I said, Kevin, do you mind? I said, my mom's got a business out there. Do you mind just poking your head in every now and then, making sure everything's okay? I'd be glad to.
Right.
Well, within just a matter of months, he poked his head in enough. My mother would cook him breakfast and take it out to his patrol car and hand it to him, so that he could be on his way.
He was almost grandpa.
Yeah, I'm telling you. She liked him better than me. That's not hard to
funny.
do. She liked you better than me, so.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, if you got a story where an officer did something cool for you or your child, some of these SRO officers, the stuff they do for these kids in different schools, especially the ones that are in tough conditions, if you know one of those stories, that's what we want to do is we want to shine the light on police today.
So holler. The floor is yours. The stage is ready for the taking. 725-KISS, 725-5477.
Making that ride to work fun. Come on now, Junior, take a wild ride. It's Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
Thomas Red, it's unforgettable. Kiss Country 93.7. We are Gary and Bristol. Speaking of unforgettable, hats off to our buddy Donnie Tubbs.
Amen.
Because Donnie Tubbs, every year, Thanksgiving, Christmas,
yep,
he is there at Tubbs Hardware on Benton Road in Bossier City, cooking for all the first responders who were out working that day. He says, hey, they don't get the day off.
And so he breaks out the big green egg. I love it.
He leaves his own family to go up there and spend time cooking for those people. So Don Tubbs, I love you. He called me just the other day to check, and he says, hey, I just want to see how you're doing with your cancer. And I was like, dude, that doctor and Jesus kicked cancer's butt.
He might have a little something to do with it, too.
But Donnie's just that kind of a person. Well, it's those officers that, like Donnie recognizes, those deputies, the marshals, SRO officers, those are the people that we're trying to recognize today in Shreveport.
I saw a constable car the other day.
Oh, constables.
I was like, That's another one.
My good friend Cliff Tupper was a constable for years in the Blanchard area, and Cliff Tupper was one of the most awesome men that ever lived in the Blanchard area. Anyway, so those people in Shreveport, because it is Shreveport Police Appreciation Day, if you're a law enforcement officer around or if you know of a law enforcement officer that did something amazing in your world, those are the stories that we want to hear this morning. 725-5477.
If you're going to give a shout out to anybody, Buck Wilkins.
Aww.
Yeah.
We love Buck. He's Bossier Sheriff's Office, if you don't know Buck Wilkins, and he is just salt of the earth, just one of those great guys.
My grandson, my youngest one, was giving us really giving his mama 3 shades of hell all the time. And I called Buck and I was like, hey man, is there something that you can do? Y'all stop doing so much stuff. He said, well, give me just a little bit. But he showed up, and let me tell you, if you don't know him, just pure size is intimidating.
He's got the largest feet of any law enforcement officer in the world, and that's a fact.
Well, and for an 8-year-old who sees this massive amount of a man coming, he just pulled him aside, talked to him, figured out what was going on, and hadn't had any problems out of this young man since.
Wow. Wow, the buck stopped there.
Thanks for spending your morning with us. Gary and Bristol on Shreveport Bossier's #1 for New Country. Kiss Country 93.7.
Post Malone, Morgan Wallen, pour me a drink. Kiss Country 93.7. It's Gary and Bristol. Okay, and there is good news and bad news from the DOTD regarding the I-20 reconstruction in Bossier City. The good news is that they are moving into phase 3 of the construction project, which is, the newest phase. And the bad news is that because they are about to move into phase 3, they are going to have to close all the westbound traffic this Sunday night, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. I-20 West will be a complete no-go in Bossier City.
All?
From near the Old Minden Road exit ramp, they say, that's where it's going to be closed. So all westbound traffic coming into the area is going to be diverted onto I-220. Okay? So I'm assuming that if you got on, you can't even get on from Industrial Drive now. So that's the only place you can get on.
Interesting.
So 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now, the good news. We had the good news. It's, they're moving into phase 3. Then the bad news, they're closing it to westbound traffic. So now the more good news. 3 of those 4 ramps at the Old Minden Road, the ones that are closed now, reopening Monday.
Oh, man.
They say that that includes the eastbound on-ramp, the eastbound off-ramp, and the westbound off-ramp. Now, they're going to have to wait until the week of October 21st to open the westbound on-ramp, though. So if you've been having to go, like, get off, on Benton Road to go to Old Minden Road.
Go around
that'll be over Monday.
I know that's going to be a relief to a lot of those businesses in that area.
Oh, dude, don't you know?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so if you still got questions, I don't quite understand. What did he just say? All the info in your Kiss Country app.
We need more cowbell. It's time for another Kiss Cash Cow Code.
Our cowbell runneth over. How about that? Chance to win up to $30,000. Here's the first code of the day, 140. 140. Put that in your Kiss Country app. It could win you up to $30,000, courtesy of Greg Tilley's Manufactured Housing. Next code 920. Be listening for it on Kiss Country 93.7.
Spending a morning without Gary and Bristol is like having a birthday without cake. Today's not the day for that. Kiss Country 93.7.
Phil and Scott, this town's been too good to us. We're Kiss Country 93.7, Gary and Bristol. And tomorrow, we get to hang out with another one of those amazing people that is doing good all over the ArkLaTex.
But here's the thing. You get to tell us who to hang out with.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that's got to make the nominations for our Kiss Country Caught in the Act Award.
Okay, all you got to do is hop on the Kiss Country app. Any one of the Caught in the Act stories that are on there, click on that. There will be a link in there that says, okay, make a nomination of your own. Tell us about somebody else amazing. Just get that done and be listening after Ticket Trivia in the morning. We'll meet this week's recipient. We'll do the Ticket Trivia at 7:15. More passes for Piney Park.
Yes.
And, of course, we're keeping you up to date on Hurricane Milton. And they say that it will make landfall tonight in Florida as a major hurricane. Now, they are saying, at present it's still a Category 5, but they say as it starts hitting landfall, it's probably going to decrease, but it will still be a major Category hurricane as it moves all the way across Florida and goes into the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, my God.
And then who knows? I mean, these blasted things could turn and come right back, essentially right where it just came from.
They're not calling for that.
No,
However, it could happen.
Yeah.
Because this one has defied all the odds. Like, it's taken a track that is super, 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 super rare.
Well, but it is, I got to admit, National Hurricane Center has done an incredible job of staying on top of this one and saying, this is probably what it's going to do. And I guess all the computer models have held up and it's done exact. So that means it'll turn left.
Right.
And, it's going to hit Houghton. That's the way it works.
I know it is.
But we will hit you with all the latest news on that bright and early tomorrow morning. So get up with us. Gary and Bristol, Kiss Country 93.7.
Saw the rising sun. Coffee in my cup. They put the good in morning. It's Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.